in retrospect, to have been the fruition, rather than the reversal, of what we were already experiencing as lay people in the Church. From this vantage, Vatican II can clearly be read, as Avery Dulles reads it, in terms of a hermeneutic of deep-rooted continuity amidst enriching change. If love for Fordham is a characteristic of the Dulles legacy, an even more defining feature is his love for the Society of Jesus, the brotherhood from which he has received so much and to which he has given so much. And of course, the animating spirit for this least society is provided by the spiritual vision and method of its founder, Ignatius of Loyola. In my foreword to the McGinley Lectures volume, I suggest that one may profitably read these collected essays as so many soundings of the Ignatian charism brought to bear on crucial theological and societal issues of our day. Let me identify 4 aspects of the Ignatian vision that underlie Dulles's commitment to the Society of Jesus and that structure his lectures. I lift up first the radical sense of the transcendent mystery of God, who is semper maior, always greater, and is alone worthy of adoration and praise. In a time and culture of often one-dimensional secularity, recognized even by so sympathetic a scholar as Charles Taylor, Avery Dulles has consistently called his hearers and readers beyond programs and causes, however worthwhile, to the transcendent source in whom we live and move and have our being. Absent God, the abolition of man follows. The second aspect of the Ignatian vision is inseparable from the first. It is the celebration of the wondrous exchange of natures, what the liturgy calls the admirabile commercium, whereby God's eternal word has taken flesh in the beloved humanity of Jesus Christ. The society Ignatius founded is dedicated to the Lord Jesus himself, and is animated, as Dulles writes in one of his lectures, by a personal love for Jesus and a desire to be counted among his close companions. In his address this evening, Cardinal Dulles shows himself a true son of Ignatius, as he speaks movingly of the discovery of the pearl of great price, the treasure hidden in the field, the Lord Jesus himself. Christological reductionism and relativism is not the way of Ignatius, and it is not the way of his spiritual son, Avery Dulles. Thirdly, Ignatius's vision refuses to countenance any sundering of Jesus from his body, the church. To say, as some do today, Jesus yes, church no, would be to speak nonsense for Ignatius of Loyola and makes no sense for Avery Dulles. How can Christ be separated from his body, or the church divorced from its Lord? Moreover, neither for Ignatius nor for Dulles is the church some Platonic entity floating above history or possessing a merely invisible nature. Rather, the Church of Christ, concretely immersed in history, subsists in visible form in the Catholic Church, in hierarchical communion with the successor of Peter and the College of Bishops in union with him. To these 3 aspects of Ignatius's vision, I must add a 4th, the practice and virtue of discernment. The word is, of course, frequently invoked, but the reality, I dare say, is less in evidence because it is quite exigent. Two of the demands of authentic discernment strike me as characterizing Dulles' McGinley lectures. Discernment requires, first, the ability to listen carefully to a variety of voices. In his address this evening, the Cardinal put it with disarming simplicity. Speaking of his approach in the lectures, he says, "In general, I have begun my investigation by asking what others, especially authoritative voices, have had to say about the topic. I want to learn before I speak." In this, the Cardinal's method more closely resembles the Quaestio of Thomas Aquinas than it does the thesis procedure of the neo-scholastic manuals. But authentic discernment requires more than respectfully marshaling opinions. Its further responsibility is to come to judgment, to critique courageously what appears inadequate. Inadequate to what? Well, inadequate to reason, as, for example, when positions lack consistency or coherence, or in Dulles' typically laconic admission, "I abhor mixtures of contradictions," but most especially inadequate to the gospel, to the scriptures and the great tradition of the Church Catholic. In this ample and life-giving sense, Dulles strives to found his discernment on the Ignatian principle, sentire cum ecclesia, to discern with the Church. The McGinley lectures, I contend, offer us exemplary models of ecclesial discernment. The third, yet more comprehensive love that these lectures manifest is Cardinal Dulles' love for the Church Catholic. We know well that this love led the young Harvard student to enter the Catholic Church in 1940, finding here his spiritual and intellectual home. And for over 60 years, his love for the Church has grown ever stronger, not because he's unmindful that the earthly Church, in the words of St. Augustine, is a corpus per mixtum, which I always translate for my students as a mixed bag, but because precisely as such, as this corpus per mixtum, it remains a corpus Christi, the ever-beloved bride of Christ. I entitled my foreword to the McGinley Lectures volume, Avery Dulles Vir Ecclesiasticus, because I am convinced that this patristic accolade sums up the priestly and theological service of this man of the Church. But however indispensable the institutional dimension of the Church is, a dimension signaled clearly by his rank of Cardinal of the Holy Roman Church, Cardinal Dulles knows better than anyone that the institutional element is not the heart of the Church. As faithful interpreter of the Second Vatican Council, Dulles insists with Lumen Gentium that the heart of the Church is the mystery which the Church embodies. Here is how he put it in his splendid book of 1992, The Craft of Theology. I quote, "As a great sacrament, the Church extends in space and time the physical body of the Lord. It is not a mere pointer to the absent Christ, but a symbolic manifestation of the present Christ. The members of the Christ, insofar as